Hello everybody. In this video clip I just want to quickly give a revision of unit prefixes which indicate that we are dealing with multiples or fractions of units. So for example, let's say we have the unit of 1 gram, and that would be a unit. That's actually an SI unit. But very often we are dealing with much more than a gram or with much less than a gram. And there are some common standard prefixes that indicate different multiples of the unit. So we know, for example, that the abbreviation kilo stands for a factor of 1,000. So we would have a kilogram, and therefore we would multiply everything by the factor of 1 times 10 to the power of 3. So that would be kilo. The next unit with a common prefix, if we go higher, would be mega. And here we would deal with a factor of 1 million, so 1 times 10 to the power of 6. The next common unit, if we go higher, would be giga, and that would be 1 times 10 to the power of 9. And very often we also come across the expression tera, which would be 1 times 10 to the power of 12. And we know these units, for example, from computer memories: kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte, and terabyte. So what about when we go smaller? So if we look at smaller units, let's say we've got here our unit, we very often come across as a unit that is 1/1000th of the original unit, and that would have the prefix milli. This would be 1/1000 of the original unit. And we would write this as 1 times 10 to the negative 3. Think about a millimeter. This is 1/1000th of a meter, and that would be 1 times 10 to the minus 3 of a meter. The next common lower unit would be micro, which is commonly abbreviated with the Greek letter mu, and if you are on a Windows keyboard you can type this letter by pressing the Alt key and typing in 230 on the numerical keypad. That will give you the Greek letter mu on a Windows keyboard, and this is 1/1 million. We can write this as 1 times 10 to the power of negative 6. So a micrometer would be 1/1,000,000th of a meter. We can go smaller with our prefixes. We can go to nano, and that would be 1 times 10 to the negative 9. So a nanometer would be 1 times 10 to the power of minus 9 meters. And then we can also go for a pico. This would be 1 times 10 to the minus 12. So these are the units. You sometimes also might come across something between the unit and milli, so I put that in here. It's not very common and it's not a standard unit, but you sometimes find that in the medical literature. So this is called Deci, and this would be 1/10 of the original unit, so 1 times 10 to the minus 1. So, for example, a deciliter would be 1 times 10 to the negative 1 of a liter. And of course, sometimes we come across the unit of centi. Think about centimeter. This is 1/100th of a unit, and we can write this as 1 times 10 to the negative 2. So centimeter would be 1/100th of a meter, or 1 times 10 to the negative 2. And these are really the most important abbreviations for the prefixes of units, and we should have no problems actually in working with these.